At my son's birthday party, my ex-wife and her boyfriend stood in the doorway, blocking me. "Pathetic deadbeat, get out," she shouted and spit in my face. Security grabbed my shoulders. I just smiled, stepped back, and made one call. 20 minutes later, her sister ran outside shaking. "What did you just do?" "The judge called and wants to see us tomorrow morning." How far would you go to protect your child when the woman who birthed him not only betrayed your marriage, but actively put his life at risk, then tried to weaponize the legal system against you? This isn't a story about anger. It's about a cold, calculated fight for justice, where every move was a chess piece in a game they didn't even know they were playing. The rain that day was relentless, a drumming against the old Pike County courthouse windows that mirrored the tempest brewing inside me. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and stale coffee, a fitting backdrop for the final, bitter chapter of my marriage. Chapter 1. Severed ties at 42, I, Liam Mercer, sat ramrod straight in my tailored charcoal suit. My posture was a physical manifestation of the self-control that had defined my career as one of Pennsylvania's most formidable criminal defense attorneys. My hands, hardened from a working-class upbringing, rested on the polished table, giving away nothing of the storm raging beneath the surface. Across the room, Chloe Davies, formerly Chloe Mercer, sat far too close to Ethan Steiger, her new boyfriend. The casual way Ethan's hand rested on Chloe's thigh made my jaw clench almost imperceptibly. Just 6 months earlier, Ethan had been my client, a man I'd successfully defended against aggravated assault charges. His gratitude, it seemed, had extended to seducing my wife of 15 years. "The terms are straightforward," my attorney, Sarah Wu, announced, her voice cutting through the hushed tension. "Mr. Mercer retains primary residence, and Miss Davies receives the vacation property. Joint custody of Leo, with alternating weekends and holidays. Child support, calculated by standard guidelines." Judge Evelyn Miller, a woman whose gaze could bore holes through steel, nodded as she reviewed the documents. "Relatively amicable as these things go." "I appreciate that." "Amicable?" My eyes flicked towards Chloe. Amicable wasn't the word I'd choose. Calculated, perhaps. I'd learned long ago that if you wanted real justice, revenge was best served cold. Methodical. And, at least initially, within the very strict bounds of legal procedure. "One final matter," Judge Miller added. "Leo's birthday falls this Saturday. As per the agreement, Miss Davies will host the celebration, but Mr. Mercer is entitled to attend for 2 hours. Ethan, who'd been trying to look bored, suddenly stiffened. "Your Honor, given the circumstances, the agreement stands," Judge Miller interrupted, her voice firm. 2 hours, Mr. Mercer. "I trust everyone will behave appropriately for the child's sake." Outside the courthouse, Sarah touched my arm. "You okay?" "Fine," I replied, watching Chloe and Ethan practically sprint to their car. "Still don't understand why you didn't fight for the full value of the practice. She gets half, despite the fact you built it while she was. It's not about the money." I cut her off, my voice flat. Sarah studied me. "You've got that look." "What look?" "The one you get before you absolutely demolish a prosecution's case." I allowed myself a small, almost imperceptible smile. "I need to prepare for Leo's birthday." As I walked to my car, my phone vibrated in my pocket. A text from Noah Bennett, my former military buddy who now ran a private intelligence firm. "Information secured. Meeting tonight." I typed back, confirmed. 9 p.m. The rain intensified as I drove away, my mind already mapping out the next moves in a game Chloe and Ethan didn't yet realize they were even playing. Oh, they would learn. Soon. Chapter 2. Hidden Cards. Noah Bennett's security offices were housed on the top floor of a converted factory building, all glass and concrete, in downtown Milford. He greeted me with a firm handshake, his prosthetic right hand cool against my palm, a grim souvenir from our final deployment in Afghanistan. "Coffee?" Noah offered, leading me past rows of glowing monitors where analysts worked in a focused silence. "Thanks." I settled into a chair in his office. "What did you find?" Noah slid a tablet across the desk. "Ethan Steiger. Careful man. Not careful enough." He tapped the screen. 3 years ago, he was working security for Westridge Pharmaceuticals. During that time, he developed a side arrangement with Delmare cartel affiliates, helping them access proprietary formulas. My eyebrow raised. That wasn't in his criminal record. Because he was never caught, Noah confirmed. The company suspected something, but couldn't prove it. They fired him quietly to avoid a scandal. That's when he moved to Pike County and, eventually, became your client. And Chloe? Noah's expression tightened, his eyes narrowing slightly. She's been planning this for over a year, Liam. We found text messages between them dating back 14 months. She's been feeding him information about your cases, your schedule, even your home security system. I nodded, my face a mask. No betrayals now. The trust fund. Untouched, as you suspected. $2.3 million sitting in an offshore account under her maiden name. She never disclosed it during the divorce proceedings. And Eleanor Davies? Noah tapped the screen again, bringing up a photograph of an elderly woman. Chloe's great-aunt. Terminal cancer, 6 months tops, according to her medical records. Chloe is her only living relative and sole beneficiary. Estate valued around $4.7 million. I processed the information silently, every piece clicking into place with a horrifying precision. This was more than just a messy divorce. It was a carefully constructed long con. There's more, Noah said carefully, his voice dropping slightly. Your son's medical records. My professional mask faltered. My expression hardened. Show me. He pulled up documents on the tablet. Leo's allergies. The medical forms Chloe submitted to the school last month. She removed your son's peanut allergy from his official records. For the first time since this nightmare began, a flicker of genuine emotion crossed my face. Raw, unfiltered rage, so potent it felt like a physical blow. But then it vanished, immediately hidden behind the calm, professional mask I'd perfected. One wrong snack could put him in anaphylactic shock, I said quietly, my voice deadly steady. The thought sent a jolt of ice through my veins. I've already contacted the school nurse anonymously. The records have been corrected, Noah assured me. I stood, buttoning my suit jacket. I need one more thing. Judge Eleanor Vance. Noah frowned. Family court? She's incorruptible, Liam. I don't need corruption, I replied, the corners of my lips barely twitching. I need her schedule for Saturday afternoon. Understanding dawned on Noah's face. The birthday party. Can you give me a direct line to her chambers? Noah nodded slowly. Consider it done. As I turned to leave, Noah called after me. Liam, whatever you're planning, don't worry, I replied without turning around. Everything will be perfectly legal. That's not what concerns me. I paused at the door. What does? I've seen that look before. In Kandahar. Before you walked into that compound alone. My lips curved into a cold, dangerous smile. Then you know what happened to the men who underestimated me. The silence that followed was thick with unspoken promise. Chapter 3. The birthday blockade Saturday dawned with picture-perfect blue skies, the kind that felt like a mocking grin from the universe, completely at odds with the darkness of my purpose. I parked my Mercedes a block from the sprawling Tudor home I once shared with Chloe, the house where I'd carried her across the threshold, where we'd brought Leo home from the hospital, and where, just 4 months ago, I'd found them together. I checked my watch, 2 p.m. exactly. The time stipulated in the court order. In one hand, I carried a carefully wrapped package for Leo. In the other, my phone, with Judge Eleanor Vance's direct chambers number programmed and ready. Children's laughter echoed from the backyard as I approached the front door. I rang the bell, straightened my tie, and waited. The door swung open to reveal Chloe in a floral sundress, her smile instantly evaporating at the sight of me. Behind her, Ethan stood, arms crossed over his chest like a territorial bouncer. What are you doing here? Chloe demanded, her voice laced with venom. My voice remained steady, calm. I'm here for Leo's birthday as permitted by court order. Ethan stepped forward, puffing out his chest. The party's already started. Leo doesn't need you ruining it. 2 hours, I replied, my gaze unwavering. Judge Miller was quite specific. Chloe's sister, Maya, appeared in the hallway, looking bewildered. Is there a problem? No problem, I said, my tone as mild as milk. I'm simply exercising my legal right to attend my son's birthday celebration. Ethan positioned himself squarely in the doorway, physically blocking entry. Listen, you pathetic deadbeat. Get lost. Nobody wants you here. Chloe stepped closer, her voice dropping to a harsh hiss. You think anyone in there respects you? After what happened? After I left you, you're nothing but a joke to them. My expression remained impassive, a mask of calm. The court order, Chloe. Ethan, emboldened, placed a hand on my chest. Court order doesn't mean shit here. Try to push past me. See what happens. From the corner of my eye, I saw two burly figures approaching from the side of the house. Friends of Ethan's from his bouncer days, no doubt. Mr. Mercer, one called out, placing a firm hand on my shoulder. Time to leave. For a moment, everything balanced on a knife's edge. I could feel the weight of the guard's hand, see the smug triumph in Ethan's eyes, the cold contempt in Chloe's. And then, I did something that visibly unsettled them all. I smiled. Without a word, I gently placed Leo's gift on the doorstep, turned, and walked calmly back to my car. Once inside, I dialed the number. Judge Vance. Judge Vance, came the crisp answer. Your Honor, this is Liam Mercer. I apologize for disturbing your weekend, but there's an urgent matter regarding a child welfare concern and a violation of court orders that requires immediate attention. 10 minutes later, I watched from my car as Chloe's phone rang. The transformation on her face was stark, visible even from a distance. Shock, quickly followed by a flash of fear. She handed the phone to Ethan, whose expression darkened as he listened. Moments later, Maya came rushing out of the house, face pale as she hurried toward my car. What the hell did you just do? She demanded, her voice trembling. The judge called. She wants to see us, all of us. Today. I stepped out of my car, calmly adjusting my cuffs. I simply reported a violation of a court order and potential child endangerment. Child endangerment. Are you insane? Removing Leo's peanut allergy from his medical records, I said, my voice deadly quiet. What would you call it? The color drained from Maya's face. Chloe hadn't told her. Tell Chloe and Ethan to bring Leo to Judge Vance's chambers in 1 hour. I'll meet you there. I opened my car door. Maya, I added, pausing. This is just the beginning. Chapter 4. Chambers of Truth. Judge Eleanor Vance's chambers felt unnaturally quiet for a Saturday afternoon. The usual courthouse bustle was absent, leaving only the soft, rhythmic ticking of an antique wall clock and the occasional rustle of papers. As the judge reviewed the documents before her, I, Liam, sat perfectly still, a statue of patience. Across the room, Chloe repeatedly checked her phone, a nervous habit, while Ethan fidgeted with his watch. Leo sat between them, immersed in a game on a tablet, headphones a small barrier against the palpable tension saturating the room. Judge Vance finally looked up, her steel-gray eyes moving deliberately between us. At 67, her reputation for no-nonsense justice was legendary in the county. I've reviewed the evidence Mr. Mercer has provided, she began, her voice carrying the weight of decades on the bench. Falsification of medical records, violation of custody orders, and what appears to be a pattern of parental alienation. Chloe straightened, her face a picture of feigned innocence. Your Honor, those accusations are documented, Judge Vance interrupted, holding up a folder. School records showing the removal of a life-threatening allergy. Text messages between you and Mr. Steiger discussing ways to prevent Mr. Mercer from seeing his son. Testimony from the security personnel Mr. Steiger hired, stating they were instructed to remove Mr. Mercer by any means necessary if he attempted to attend the birthday celebration. Ethan leaned forward, a desperate plea forming on his lips. Judge, I can explain. Mr. Steiger, you have no legal standing in this matter, Judge Vance stated flatly, cutting him off. Your presence here is purely as an observer. Her gaze, sharp and unyielding, pinned him. The power in the room was hers, and she wielded it effortlessly. The judge then turned to Leo, her expression softening almost imperceptibly. Young man, would you mind stepping outside with my assistant for a few minutes? She has some books you might enjoy. Once Leo had left, the judge's demeanor hardened again. Miss Davies, these actions constitute contempt of court at minimum. At worst, they could be grounds for a complete modification of the custody arrangement. Chloe paled. You can't. I absolutely can, Judge Vance cut in, her voice unwavering. And given the documented risk to the child's health, I'm inclined to issue an emergency modification today. Your Honor, I interjected smoothly, my voice calm, if I may offer an alternative. All eyes turned to me. This was it. The moment I'd orchestrated. The pivot point in my carefully constructed plan. I have no desire to disrupt Leo's life further, I continued, my eyes fixed on the judge. Children need stability. What I propose is this. We maintain the current custody arrangement, but with court-mandated supervision of Miss Davies's parenting decisions regarding medical care and education. Judge Vance considered this, her gaze thoughtful. You're being remarkably generous, Mr. Mercer. I'm thinking of my son, I replied simply. What I didn't say was that this was merely the opening gambit, the sacrifice of a pawn to position my knights. This supervision would require weekly meetings, meticulous documentation, and relentless scrutiny, a slow, suffocating noose around Chloe's neck. Additionally, I added, pressing my advantage, I request that Mr. Steiger have no involvement in decisions regarding Leo's well-being until such time as the court deems appropriate. Ethan surged to his feet, his face red with fury. This is bullshit. You can't, Mr. Steiger. Judge Vance's voice cracked like a whip, silencing him instantly. One more outburst, and I'll have you removed. You have no parental rights here. Chloe grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him back to his seat. Her eyes, filled with dawning horror, never left my face. She was finally recognizing the trap, realizing the walls were closing in. Judge Vance made her ruling, supervised custody for Chloe, weekly reports to the court, and severe restrictions on Ethan's involvement with Leo. As we left the chambers, I paused beside Chloe. You should have read the divorce agreement more carefully, I murmured, just loud enough for her to hear, particularly the clause about endangering Leo's health. This isn't over, Chloe hissed, her eyes burning with hatred. On that, I replied, a cold smile touching my lips. We are in perfect alignment. Outside, Noah waited in an unmarked car. How did it go? Phase 1 complete, I replied, watching as Chloe, Ethan, and a bewildered Leo drove away. Begin Phase 2. I want everything on Ethan's former employers at Westridge Pharmaceuticals. Board members, security protocols, internal investigations, all of it. And Chloe's great-aunt. Arrange a visit. Tell her I'm handling a revision to her estate planning. Pro bono, of course. Noah raised an eyebrow. You're playing a dangerous game. No, I corrected him, my gaze distant, already focused on the next move. I'm playing their game. They just don't know the rules yet. Chapter 5. Eleanor's bequest Riverdale Palliative Care Center, set on 15 manicured acres overlooking the Delaware River, was hushed, almost reverent. I navigated its corridors with the quiet confidence of someone who belonged, nodding to staff as I passed. The bouquet of lilies in my hand completed the illusion of a concerned family visitor. Room 317 was bathed in afternoon light when I entered. Eleanor Davies lay propped against pillows, her once substantial frame now fragile beneath the blankets. Despite her illness, her eyes were remarkably sharp and assessing as they fixed on me. You're not from hospice, she stated flatly. I placed the lilies on a side table. No, Miss Davies, I'm Liam Mercer. Recognition, cold and sharp, flashed across her face. Chloe's ex-husband. The lawyer. She studied me for a long moment. You've got some nerve showing up here. I've been told that before, I replied, taking a seat beside her bed. I understand you've been working with Daniel Winters on your estate plan. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. Chloe mentioned your conniving. Seems she undersold it. Chloe tells many stories, I responded evenly. Some truer than others. Let's get to the point, Mr. Mercer. I'm dying, not senile. I appreciated her directness. Your estate is substantial. Currently, it's structured to pass entirely to Chloe upon your death. She's your only living relative. Is she? I removed a folder from my briefcase. Did you know that Chloe has been systematically endangering your great-grandnephew, Leo's, health by concealing his medical conditions? I placed the documented evidence before her. The altered school records, an affidavit from the school nurse, Judge Vance's ruling. Eleanor's hands trembled slightly as she examined the papers. Why would she do this? Control, I replied simply. And to remove obstacles to her relationship with Ethan Steiger, who, incidentally, has a documented history of violence and connections to drug trafficking. I showed her Ethan's sealed criminal records, information Noah had obtained through channels best left unexplained. Chloe told me you were abusive, Eleanor said, watching my reaction carefully. Did she mention specific incidents? Eleanor hesitated. No, just that you were controlling. Ask yourself, Miss Davies, I suggested, my voice soft but firm. In the 15 years you've known me, have you ever seen evidence of that? Or is it possible Chloe is projecting her own behaviors onto me? Silence filled the room as Eleanor absorbed my words. Finally, she sighed heavily, a sound of weary resignation. What do you want, Mr. Mercer? I'm not here for your money, I assured her. I'm here because Leo deserves protection, including from his mother, if necessary. And you expect me to disinherit my only niece based on your say-so? I expect nothing, I replied. I'm merely providing information you deserve to have before finalizing your estate plans. I stood to leave, placing my card on her table. Whatever you decide, I wish you peace in the time you have left. As I reached the door, Eleanor called out, Mr. Mercer. I turned. I've lived long enough to recognize genuine concern, she said quietly, and genuine manipulation. Sometimes they look remarkably similar. I nodded. The difference is in the outcome, Miss Davies. Who benefits from your decision and who suffers? 3 days later, I received a call from Daniel Winters, Eleanor's estate attorney. Mr. Mercer, Miss Davies has requested your presence for the signing of her new will tomorrow at 2 p.m. She was quite insistent. When I arrived the following day, I found not only Eleanor and her attorney, but also Chloe, her face tight with barely contained fury. Welcome to our little gathering, Eleanor greeted me, her voice stronger, more vibrant than during my previous visit. I've made some changes I thought everyone should hear directly. Daniel Winters cleared his throat uncomfortably before reading the new provisions. 20% of the estate to Chloe outright, 30% to Leo in a trust managed by a neutral third-party trustee until he reached 25, and the remaining 50% to establish a foundation for children with severe allergies, with me appointed to the board of directors. Chloe's composure shattered. You can't be serious. After everything I've done for you. Yes, let's discuss what you've done, Eleanor interrupted coldly. Like telling me Liam couldn't be bothered to visit when I was hospitalized last year, when in fact you never told him I was ill. Or perhaps how you've been systematically overdosing my pain medication on the days before my cognitive assessments with Dr. Hayes. The room fell silent. I hadn't known about that last detail. My respect for the elderly woman increased substantially. You're confused, Chloe tried, shooting a venomous glance at me. He's manipulating you. The only person who's been manipulating anyone is you, Chloe, Eleanor stated firmly. I may be dying, but I'm not a fool. Daniel has already documented my mental competence with 3 independent psychiatrists. The will stands. After the papers were signed, I helped Eleanor back to her room, leaving Chloe fuming with the attorney. She'll contest it, Eleanor said as I adjusted her pillows. She'll lose, I replied confidently. Eleanor studied me. You didn't tell me about the medication. I didn't know. But you're not surprised. No, I admitted. I'm not. Eleanor patted my hand weakly. You're a dangerous man, Liam Mercer. I hope my great-grandnephew has inherited your spine rather than his mother's ethics. As I left the facility, I spotted Chloe in the parking lot, speaking intensely with Ethan on her phone. When she saw me, her expression transformed into pure, unadulterated hatred. I merely nodded politely as I passed. Phase 2 was complete. The financial foundation of Chloe's future was crumbling, and with it, I suspected, Ethan's interest in their relationship. Now, it was time for Phase 3, dismantling Ethan Steiger himself. Chapter 6. The Westridge Gambit. Westridge Pharmaceuticals headquarters dominated the Philadelphia skyline, its glass facade reflecting the setting sun as I rode the elevator to the executive floor. The email from David West, the company CEO, had been unexpected but not unwelcome. It was a perfect piece falling into place, precisely where I intended it. "Mr. Mercer," David greeted me, rising from behind an imposing desk. At 65, he remained imposingly fit, his handshake firm, almost crushing. "Thank you for coming on such short notice." "Your message sounded urgent," I replied, taking the offered seat, my demeanor calm. David nodded gravely. 3 days ago, our security team detected an intrusion into our research database. Specifically, our newest cancer treatment protocols. A potential billion-dollar breakthrough. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, my voice carefully neutral. "But I specialize in criminal defense, not corporate espionage." "The breach originated from an IP address associated with Ethan Steiger," David stated flatly. "Our former security consultant." I kept my expression impassive, though a surge of quiet satisfaction pulsed beneath my skin. Noah had done his job perfectly, leaving digital breadcrumbs that any competent security team would find, but nothing, absolutely nothing, that could be traced back to him or to me. "That's quite a coincidence," I remarked carefully, feigning mild surprise. "Is it?" David slid a folder across the desk. "Our investigation uncovered communications between Steiger and Delmare cartel affiliates dating back to his employment here. We believe he's selling our research." "Have you contacted the authorities?" "Not yet." David leaned forward, his eyes shrewd. "We understand Mr. Steiger is involved with your ex-wife." I raised an eyebrow, a slight, almost imperceptible gesture. "You've done your homework. So has your friend, Mr. Bennett. He reached out to us last week with concerns about industrial espionage. Very patriotic of him." The two of us regarded each other with mutual, unspoken understanding. No explicit acknowledgement of the choreographed nature of this encounter was necessary. "What exactly are you asking of me, Mr. West?" "Your expertise in negotiating with the Justice Department," David replied smoothly. "If we report this directly, it becomes public. Stock prices plummet. Investors panic. If, however, a respected attorney with federal connections helps facilitate a quiet investigation," I nodded slowly. "I can make some calls. Arrange a meeting with the appropriate officials. Properly framed, this could be handled with discretion." "Excellent." David stood. "I've taken the liberty of preparing a retainer agreement." As I signed the documents, David added casually, "Oh, and we've scheduled a board meeting for next Friday to discuss the situation. Your presence would be appreciated." "Friday," I echoed, a thought already forming. "That's Leo's weekend with his mother." "Bring him along," David suggested. "My grandson, Sam, is about his age. They could swim in the company pool while we meet." I smiled thinly. "That's very thoughtful. I'll need to make arrangements with Chloe." Of course. Later that evening, I called Chloe, as required by the new court supervision order. "I need to switch weekends with Leo. I have an unavoidable meeting Friday." "Absolutely not." Chloe snapped, her voice sharp with irritation. "You know we're taking Leo to Ethan's Lakehouse that weekend. It's been planned for weeks." "I understand. But this is a significant client. Perhaps Ethan could. Ethan has already taken time off work." Chloe interrupted, her voice rising. "The answer is no, Liam." "I see," I replied evenly. "In that case, I'll need to inform Judge Vance about the change in plans. The supervision order requires disclosure of all overnight trips with Leo, particularly to remote locations." Silence stretched across the line, heavy and pregnant. "Fine," Chloe finally hissed, her voice laced with reluctant defeat. "But you'll take him the following weekend instead." "Thank you for your flexibility, Chloe," I responded politely. "I'll pick him up Friday at noon." After ending the call, I texted Noah, "Lakehouse plans canceled. Proceed with installation." The reply came moments later. "Team already in place. Equipment ready." Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. By Friday, Ethan would be meeting with federal agents about the data breach. By Saturday, the Lakehouse would be ready for its true purpose. And by Sunday, the final phase would begin. I poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon and raised the glass in a silent toast to the coming storm. Let them try to weather it. Chapter 7. Federal interest. Friday morning dawned with a relentless thunderstorm that perfectly matched the chaotic mood inside Ethan Steiger's apartment. Chloe paced the living room, her impatience a live wire, while Ethan hurriedly stuffed clothes haphazardly into a suitcase. "I don't understand why you have to go now," Chloe protested, following him into the bedroom. "We were supposed to leave for the Lakehouse in 3 hours." "I told you, David West called personally," Ethan snapped, barely looking up. "He said there's been a security breach, and they need me to consult on the investigation." "Why you? You haven't worked there in years." "Because I designed part of their security system." Ethan's voice was tight with frustration. "Look, this could be a huge opportunity. If I help them identify the breach, they might bring me back, with a promotion." Chloe's eyes narrowed, a flicker of suspicion in their depths. "And the fact that Liam suddenly needed to switch weekends with Leo doesn't strike you as suspicious?" Ethan paused, a flicker of doubt crossing his face before he quickly dismissed it. "The timing is just a coincidence. Liam doesn't even know about my history with Westridge. He's not that connected." "You underestimate him," Chloe warned, her voice grave. "He's been 2 steps ahead of us since the divorce." "Well, I can hardly refuse when the CEO calls personally, can I?" Ethan zipped his suitcase closed with a decisive yank. "Besides, Westridge is talking about a $50,000 consulting fee. We need that money, especially after your aunt's little bombshell." Chloe fell silent at the bitter reminder of Eleanor's revised will. The loss of millions she'd counted on still stung deeply. "Fine," she conceded, her shoulders slumping. "But I'm telling you, Liam is behind this somehow." "You're paranoid," Ethan replied, checking his watch. "I've got to go. I'll call you tonight after the meeting." He kissed her quickly, a hurried peck before grabbing his bags. "Reschedule the Lakehouse for next weekend. By then, we'll have the Westridge money to celebrate with." Across town, I sat in Judge Eleanor Vance's chambers, calmly reviewing modifications to the custody supervision order. "These provisions seem reasonable," Judge Vance noted, scanning the document. "Expanded visitation during summer months, joint decision-making on education, and continued supervision of medical decisions." "Thank you, Your Honor," I replied smoothly. "I believe this arrangement best serves Leo's interests while maintaining stability." Judge Vance studied me over her reading glasses, a hint of curiosity in her gaze. "You know, Mr. Mercer, I've seen hundreds of custody disputes. Usually, the wronged spouse fights for every advantage. Revenge benefits no one, Your Honor," I answered, my voice even, least of all Leo. Judge Vance's lips quirked slightly. "Very diplomatic. I'll sign the order today." As I gathered my papers, the judge added, almost as an afterthought, "By the way, a colleague mentioned seeing you at Westridge Pharmaceuticals yesterday. Expanding your practice areas?" I replied casually. "Just helping an old friend with a sensitive matter. Involving federal agents, from what I hear." Judge Vance met my gaze evenly. "Corporate espionage concerns," I confirmed, my face betraying nothing. "Nothing that would interest family court unless it involved parties to a custody case," Judge Vance remarked, her expression unreadable. For a moment, the air between us hummed with unspoken understanding. "Purely coincidental, I assure you." Judge Vance nodded slowly. "Of course. Good day, Mr. Mercer." At noon, I picked Leo up from Chloe's house. The boy seemed subdued, clutching his backpack tightly. "Looking forward to our weekend?" I asked as we drove away. Leo shrugged. "Mom said, you ruined our lake trip." "Did she?" I kept my voice neutral, though a cold satisfaction settled in my gut. "I'm sorry about that, but I have something special planned instead." "How would you like to swim in a rooftop pool with a view of the whole city?" Leo's eyes widened. "Really? Really? And afterward, we can have dinner at that dinosaur restaurant you like." By the time we reached the Westridge building, Leo's excitement had completely overcome his initial reluctance. David West greeted us warmly, introducing his grandson, Sam, before whisking me away to the boardroom. Inside, two serious men in dark suits waited alongside David and several board members. "Mr. Mercer, these are Agents Rodriguez and Kelly from the FBI Cyber Division," David explained. I shook their hands. "I understand you're investigating a potential data breach, among other things." "We've been tracking Delmare cartel movements into pharmaceutical IP theft for months," Agent Rodriguez replied grimly. "Your client's situation fits a pattern." The meeting proceeded efficiently, with me guiding the discussion toward a controlled investigation that would protect Westridge's stock value while gathering crucial evidence. As we finalized the approach, David's assistant entered with an urgent message. "Mr. Steiger has arrived downstairs," she announced. David glanced at me, a subtle nod. "Perfect timing. Shall we proceed as discussed?" I nodded back. "Agents, if you could remain here momentarily, Mr. West, and I will greet Mr. Steiger and bring him up." In the lobby, Ethan's expression morphed from confident swagger to utter confusion when he spotted me beside David. "What the hell is this?" Ethan demanded, stopping short. "Mr. Steiger," David greeted him coldly. "Thank you for coming. Mr. Mercer has been advising us on a security matter that appears to involve you." Ethan's eyes darted between us, a growing panic in his gaze. "I don't understand." "This is a mistake. Perhaps we should continue this conversation upstairs," I suggested smoothly. "Federal agents are waiting." The color drained from Ethan's face. "Federal? This is some kind of setup. Liam, you son of a bitch." "If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear," David stated, his voice like ice. "Fuck this." Ethan spat, backing away. "I'm not falling for whatever game you're playing, Mercer." As Ethan turned to leave, two Westridge security guards, hulking figures, blocked his path. "Mr. West would appreciate your cooperation, sir." Ethan's panicked gaze found me, and I simply adjusted my tie calmly, a thin smile playing on my lips. "Running would be unwise, Ethan. It tends to imply guilt." Trapped, Ethan had no choice but to follow them to the elevator. As the doors closed, he hissed at me through the narrowing gap. "Chloe was right about you." "No," I replied quietly, my voice barely a whisper. She wasn't nearly right enough. The doors closed, sealing him inside. Chapter 8, Lakehouse Revelations. The following weekend, Chloe drove alone to Ethan's Lakehouse, her knuckles white on the steering wheel, a physical manifestation of the crushing stress. The past week had been a nightmare. Ethan was under investigation for corporate espionage, released on bail, but facing potential federal charges. His assets were frozen. The promised Westridge consulting fee, their lifeline, had evaporated. And somehow my fingerprints, Liam Mercer's fingerprints, were all over it, though she couldn't prove a single thing. She needed time alone, time to think, to plan their next move. The lakefront property, Ethan's pride and joy, purchased with cash through an LLC to hide it from his previous divorce settlement, would provide the perfect refuge. Or so she thought. As Chloe turned onto the private road leading to the house, her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Miss Davies?" A woman's crisp, sympathetic voice came through the speakers. "This is Nurse Jensen from Riverdale Palliative. I'm afraid I have difficult news. Your aunt, Eleanor, passed away an hour ago." Chloe pulled over, a complex, almost disorienting mixture of grief and cold, hard calculation washing over her. I understand. Thank you for letting me know." She remembered Daniel Winters, Eleanor's attorney. He asked to be notified immediately. He mentioned there would be a reading of the will tomorrow. So soon. It was Miss Davies's explicit instruction. "The reading will be at 3 p.m. at Mr. Winters's office." After ending the call, Chloe sat motionless, processing this new development. 20% of Eleanor's estate would still be a substantial sum, enough, perhaps, to cover Ethan's looming legal expenses. A grim smile, a flicker of hope, crossed her face. Perhaps things were finally turning in their favor. She continued to the lake house, the familiar sight of the rustic cabin usually bringing comfort. Today, however, something felt off. The door was unlocked, though Ethan had insisted he'd secured everything before his last visit. Inside, nothing appeared disturbed, yet Chloe couldn't shake the unnerving sensation of intrusion. She moved through the rooms cautiously, checking closets and windows. In the master bedroom, she noticed Ethan's laptop on the nightstand. Strange. He'd taken it to Philadelphia. Curious, her pulse quickening, she opened it. The screen sprang to life without requesting a password. Another anomaly. The desktop was empty except for a single folder labeled for Chloe. Her heart hammering, she clicked it open. Inside was a video file. She pressed play. The footage showed the very room she was sitting in, but from weeks earlier. Ethan entered with a woman Chloe instantly recognized, his administrative assistant. What followed was an intimate encounter that left no doubt about their relationship. The timestamp indicated this had occurred during a weekend Ethan had claimed to be fishing with friends while Chloe was caring for Eleanor. Chloe's hand flew to her mouth, a choked gasp escaping her. As the video continued, the conversation afterward became even more damning. "When are you going to leave her?" the woman asked, curled against Ethan's side. "Soon," Ethan promised, a smug smile on his face. "Once the old lady dies and Chloe gets her inheritance, then we're good to go." "You really think she'll give you access to all that money?" Ethan laughed, a casual, cruel sound. "She already added me to her accounts. Besides, she's completely blindsided by the custody battle with her ex, hasn't got a clue. I've been moving her money into the offshore account." Chloe paused the video, her hands shaking violently. She checked her banking app and found her savings account nearly depleted, over $200,000 gone. Transferred in small, insidious increments over the past 3 months. Frantically, she searched through the laptop, finding detailed records of Ethan's dealings, the offshore account information, dates, and amounts of transfers from her accounts, even emails plotting how to access Eleanor's estate once it passed to Chloe. As the magnitude of the betrayal crashed over her, a crushing wave of despair and rage, another file caught her attention: Westridge evidence. Inside were documents clearly stolen from the pharmaceutical company, along with communications to potential buyers, information that would devastate Ethan's defense against the federal charges. Chloe's phone rang again. "Ethan." "Hey," she answered, fighting to keep her voice steady, an impossible task. "Where are you?" Ethan demanded, his voice frantic. "At the Lakehouse." "Where are you?" Listen carefully. Ethan's voice was tense, laced with a new kind of terror. "Don't go inside. Just turn around and leave right now." "Too late," Chloe replied coldly, her voice devoid of emotion. "I'm already looking at your laptop." Silence stretched across the line, thick and suffocating. "It's not what you think," Ethan finally said, a desperate plea. "Really? Because it looks exactly like you've been sleeping with your assistant, stealing my money, and planning to leave me once you got your hands on Eleanor's inheritance." "Chloe, save it," she cut him off, her voice cracking. "I've seen everything. The videos, the transfers, the Westridge files. It's over, Ethan. Listen to me." Ethan's voice took on a desperate, urgent edge. "That laptop wasn't supposed to be there. Someone planted it. Think about it. Who would benefit from turning us against each other right now?" Chloe froze. The blood drained from her face. "Liam." "Exactly. He's setting us both up. The laptop is probably being tracked right now. Federal agents could be on their way to the Lakehouse as we speak." Chloe looked around frantically, every shadow a potential threat. "What do I do?" "Close the laptop. Don't touch anything else. Get out of there, now." As Chloe moved to comply, her phone pinged with a text message from an unknown number. "I've forwarded copies of all files to the FBI, Miss Davies. You have approximately 20 minutes before they arrive. I suggest you use that time wisely." "Oh my God," Chloe whispered, her breath catching in her throat. "What?" Ethan demanded. She read him the message. "Fuck." Ethan exploded. "This is Liam's doing. His military buddy Noah. They're behind all of it. What do we do?" "Meet me at the bus station. Bring cash. Whatever you can grab. We need to disappear for a while." "What about Leo?" Chloe asked, the sudden, sharp memory of her son cutting through the panic. Ethan's voice hardened. "We don't have time for that now. It's survival mode. Leo's with Liam this weekend anyway. The casual dismissal of her child, the utter lack of concern, struck Chloe like a physical blow, colder than any betrayal. In that moment, everything clarified with terrible, brutal clarity. Liam hadn't just orchestrated their downfall, he'd revealed their true, ugly characters in the process. "I have to go," she said quietly. "I'll see you at the bus station in an hour," Ethan replied, his voice still tense with urgency. "No," Chloe said, her voice stronger now, firm with a new resolve. "You won't." She ended the call and sent a text to the unknown number. "Tell Liam I want to talk. On my terms." The reply came instantly. The coffee shop across from the courthouse. 30 minutes. Chapter 9. Final judgment. The coffee shop was nearly empty when Chloe arrived, the air thick with the unspoken tension of a battle lost. I sat at a corner table, 2 cups steaming before me, a silent invitation. I rose politely as she approached, gesturing to the chair across from me. "You look tired," I observed, my voice flat as she sat down, her face drawn. "Cut the bullshit, Liam," Chloe snapped, her eyes burning. "I know what you did." I sipped my coffee calmly, a slight pause before I spoke. "Which part, specifically?" "All of it. The custody hearing, and Eleanor's will, Ethan's federal investigation, the Lakehouse setup. You've been orchestrating everything from the beginning." Her voice was a furious whisper, laced with a dawning horror. "Orchestrating?" I raised an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement in my eyes. "An interesting choice of words. It implies I created something from nothing. Did I plant Ethan's infidelity? Did I force him to steal from you? To conspire against a dying woman? To endanger our son's health by removing his allergy information?" Chloe flinched visibly at the last accusation. "That was Ethan's idea. He said it would strengthen our case if we could show you were paranoid about Leo's health. And you agreed," I finished for her, my voice unwavering. "I made a mistake," Chloe admitted, her voice breaking slightly, a hint of genuine despair surfacing. "Several mistakes," I corrected, studying her, my expression unreadable. "What do you want, Chloe?" "To make a deal." She took a shaky breath. "I have information the federal prosecutors will want about Ethan's other activities, his real connection to Delmare. I can testify against him in exchange for immunity for myself." She hesitated, her gaze dropping. "And reconsideration of the custody arrangement." I leaned back, regarding her coldly. "You believe you deserve another chance with Leo? After everything you've done?" "I'm his mother," Chloe whispered, as if the words themselves should be enough. "Being a mother is more than biology," I replied, my voice hard. "It's choices, priorities, sacrifices. I know that now." "No," I countered, a shadow of pain in my own eyes. "You know you've lost. There's a difference." I placed a folder on the table between us. "These are the terms. Non-negotiable." Chloe opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a complete custody modification, granting me full legal and physical custody of Leo. She would have supervised visitation twice monthly. Additionally, she would forfeit all claims to marital assets in exchange for me arranging a plea deal with federal prosecutors. "This is fair," I finished for her. "Considerably more than fair, given the circumstances." Tears welled in Chloe's eyes. "I'll never see my son. You'll see him when it serves his interests, not yours," I corrected, my voice firm. "And only when you've demonstrated genuine reform." "And if I refuse?" My expression hardened. "Then I stop protecting you. The evidence of your involvement in Ethan's schemes goes to prosecutors. Your knowledge of his corporate espionage, the altered medical records, the texts discussing how to alienate Leo from me, everything." Chloe stared at me, her eyes wide with a chilling comprehension, finally understanding the depth of the trap I'd constructed, the meticulous planning. "You never intended to forgive me, did you? This was always your plan." "Forgiveness requires remorse," I replied, the truth stark. "You've shown none until you were caught. As for planning, I simply created opportunities for your true character to reveal itself." And Ethan, Mr. Steiger, made his own choices. His bail was revoked this morning when he failed to appear for a scheduled check-in. Border Patrol has been notified. Chloe's shoulders slumped in utter defeat. "Leo will hate me." That depends entirely on you, I said, sliding a pen across the table. Children are remarkably resilient when surrounded by stability and truth. After a long moment, one filled with the quiet rustle of paper and the soft ticking of the clock, Chloe signed the documents. As she rose to leave, she asked quietly, her voice barely a whisper, "Was any of it real?" "What we had." I gathered the signed papers methodically, carefully aligning them. "That's the wrong question, Chloe. What's the right one?" "Whether it would have mattered to you if it was." I stood. "My attorney will contact you about the visitation schedule. The FBI expects your statement tomorrow morning." Outside the coffee shop, Noah waited in his car. He rolled down the window as I approached. "All set?" "It's done," I confirmed, sliding into the passenger seat. "That was quite a game of chess you played," Noah observed as we pulled away. I gazed out the window at Chloe's diminishing figure, now just a small, broken silhouette on the street. Chess implies equal opponents following established rules. And that's not what this was. "No," I replied quietly, a sense of profound finality in my voice. This was justice. At home, I found Leo in the backyard, teaching himself to skateboard with determined concentration. Watching my son's focused expression, so similar to my own, I felt the weight of the past months finally beginning to lift, replaced by a quiet, deep satisfaction. "Dad," Leo called, spotting me, a huge grin spreading across his face. "Watch this." I smiled. A genuine smile that reached my eyes for the first time in over a year, chasing away the shadows. "I'm watching," I called back. "I'm right here." As Leo proudly demonstrated his newest trick, my phone buzzed with a text from Judge Vance, "Custody modification approved." Effective immediately. I slipped the phone back into my pocket without replying. The time for looking backward was over. Whatever came next, recovery, rebuilding, perhaps even redemption for those who earned it, would unfold on my terms. For now, watching my son, safe and joyous in the fading afternoon light, was judgment enough. It was everything. So, after hearing everything, do you think Liam went too far, or was every single one of his moves perfectly justified? I'm genuinely curious about your thoughts on this kind of calculated justice. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll be reading everyone.